Thinking of buying an older HDB flat just because it's cheaper? Hold on, there's more to it than just price. In this video, I'll break down the real pros and cons from affordability, locations, perks to CPF limits, lease decay and renovation costs. Stay tuned to the end because I'll show you a case study that could save you thousands of dollars. Let's get started. So there are some benefits in buying an older HDB flat. So let's talk about the benefits right now. So the pricing is definitely a lot cheaper than the flats that it's newer. Of course, you'll get more space at the end of the day for it, because if you compare a five room to five room, it will be more space, and the proximity to amenities is much more closer, and there's established infrastructure, and also it's much more convenient at the end of the day. So why buy old flats? When we talk about affordability, older flats are usually priced lower than the newer flats. So because of the short remaining lease period itself. So let me give you an example. Like for example, in the same area, a 60-year-old circuit road that is built in 1964. That means they are left with about 40 plus years lease only, compared to a newer estate also in the circuit road area. You can see the price is 2 times the amount. So for one HDB, you can buy 2 times the amount because of the lease period itself. So another reason is because of size. Usually for the older flats, it's much more bigger in size area. So a 5-room in an older flat is much more bigger than a 5-room in a newer flat. So this example is that the older flat, a 5-room, it's about 1,003 square feet itself. Yeah, whereas for a newer flat, you can see it's much more compact and at 1,184 square feet. So the size difference is easily 10% difference already. So older flats usually are closer to amenities, and they are of course easier access to the different schools, MRTs, shopping malls and stuff like that. Whereas older flats, newer flats like, and of course newer estates like Tengah, Punggol, sometimes they are not as close proximity to amenities at the end of the day. So, but whereas for the problems when it comes to older HDB, there are a few problems people will need to face. First will be the financing. Second will be the CPF usage. And third is a loan you can get, it's a lot lower. Fourth, if the lease decays, will definitely affect your value of the property as well. Fifth is depreciation, and sixth is the renovation challenge and also the maintenance as well. So let's talk about financing. So when you buy a older flat, right, your CPF will be a lot prorated if your age plus the lease does not cover you until 95 years old. Which means to say that the youngest buyers, right, will need to come up more cash at the end of the day. So for example, a 30 years old buying a 44 years lease left, the 30 plus 44 is not equals to 95, so there is a restrictions in their CPF usage. So for example, they buy a property that starts in 1970, the lease, and purchased recently, and the lease period is 99 years, and they take up a HDB loan. So the maximum amount they can use from CPF is only 212. It's a prorated amount. However, if someone that is the age plus lease is more than 95, they are able to take up the full 400k purchase price itself. So how do you know what is the amount of proration? You can go to the CPF website. You can use this particular calculator to determine how much you can use. So you start, and then you tell them about new properties, your age, and so on and so forth. They'll decide for you how much you can use at the end of the day. Quick favor, if this video has been helpful, like and subscribe. It really helps push this video to more people who need it. Next, we talk about loan. HDB loan, usually they can give you 75%, but for a short lease, they will give you a prorated amount. So which means to say that you might need a higher down payment. So how do you know your age and your lease covers you 95 and above? You can get up to 75% of the resale value as your loan. However, if it's less than that, then there will be a prorated factor. Okay, so this is just now what we have seen is CPF usage. Right now, what we have seen is loan usage. Okay, loan usage, let's get back to the same example. So similar example, how much you can get, it's a lot lower. Your max loan will be only 160,000 itself when you use back the same example of buying a 4-room flat at 400,000 with a balance lease of only 44 years. So next is lease decay. Over time, the lease decay, it reduces your property values over time, because at the end of the day, you need to remember, when the lease reaches zero, the property will be returned to the state without any compensation. So it will be zero at the end of the day. So which means to say that the older flats usually are perceived as less valuable because of this, okay, compared to a newer flat or a flat that has 80 years lease left. Okay, this is a Bala's table, Bala's curve. What exactly is Bala's curve? Is basically, Bala is a mathematician in the Singapore Land Authority. Previously, he came up with this curve. When you compare your leasehold property as a percentage of a freehold property, right? As the years goes by, what is the approximate amount going to be? So at 99 years, you have about 96% of the freehold value. At 60 years is 80%. At 30 years is 60%. So you need to understand this is just theoretical, because at the end of the day, sometimes Bala's curve is not always applicable due to certain location and certain demand itself also. Because some larger flats will retain value and the depreciation is only expedited at the tail end of left 10 years, left 15 years, left 20 years. Why 10, 20 years is because during the last 10 to 20 years, you're not able to take any more loan or use any more CPF already. Number 4, renovation and maintenance cost is quite high for you to do such a thing. Because at the end of the day, you have a lot of things to factor in, like for example, electrical work, plumbing needs to do, there is unforeseeable leaks and damage on the surface itself. Maintenance is much more frequent and expensive as well, and the older estates will require more maintenance also. If you found this video helpful, give the video a like, it really helps the channel. And let me know in the comments, would you consider buying an older HDB flat? Why or why not? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're planning to buy a resale flat, check out my next video, everything you need to know about buying a resale HDB on your own. I covered the HFE, financial planning, and whether you need an extension and whether you need a temporary extension. Thanks for watching, see you there.